Statutory Appropriation Bill 2020 was read the first time on Wednesday, 11th December 2019. The Senate concluded debate on the second reading on Thursday, 12th December 2019, and the bill was referred to the Committee on Federal Capital Territory for further legislative action and to report back within 1 week. In line with Sections 62, 80, 88, 89, and 299 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, the committees on FCT vis-à-vis Senate and House of Representatives met with the Honourable Minister and other relevant officials of the Federal Capital Territory Administration and Federal Capital Development Administration FCTA to deliberate on the subject matter and agreed on the modalities to handle the exercise. In carrying out its oversight duties, the committee identified critical areas of need for the development of the territory and to ensure improved standard of living for its inhabitants. Therefore, the committees expanded on the proposed FCT 2020 revenue profile marginally in order to meet the demands for the funds in identified critical areas. The justification is based on the increase in the changes of some revenue variables, parameters like VAT, stamp duties, levies, and all other fees such as payment of premium on land, enhanced collection of water and sewage rates, etc. To actualize the justification, the committees empowered and gave marching orders to the chairman of the FCT Internal Revenue Service to provide a one-stop shop for tax collection, including other sources of revenue collection. Mr. President, my respected colleagues, it is worthy of note that the potentials of the states are hidden within their territories and must be explored and exploited urgently. Lagos State used this opportunity to its advantage. FCT must not be an exception. Security. The menace of insecurity calls for a new approach that will be founded on credible intelligence gathering. The budgetary allocation on security to FCT administration is to enable the administration harness the latest technologies for the enhancement of productivity. This will make security agencies in FCT to be more proactive and reasonably predict potential crimes. In this regard, the committees of FCT deliberated and resolved to double the proposed allocation to security in the Federal Capital Territory and its environs. It is worthy of note that the current security apparatus cannot guarantee safety and security in the FCT and its surrounding towns and villages. Therefore, the committees deployed funds to meet areas of critical needs like security, roads, water, health, education, and development of satellite towns within the territory, city maintenance and cleaning, agriculture and transportation, the construction of affordable housing and access road to the resettlement site of Wasa 1, construction of resettlement houses in Galui, Shere, rehabilitation and expansion of classrooms in FCT secondary schools. At this point, I would like to jump over to observation. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, you may wish to note that the overall performance of FCT 2019 statutory allocation was only 50%. The budget lasted for only a few months. Most of the projects executed by the FCDA were still ongoing due to overbearing ineptitude of getting the due process certificates on time. The committees further observed that new and ongoing projects were not sufficiently funded due to delay in release of funds occasioned by bureaucratic bottlenecks. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, for the year 2020, the proposed FCT budget is a total sum of 232,875,365,947 naira only, which is made up of, as stated, personnel costs of 53,876,241,095, overhead costs of 57,070,343,435, making a total recurrent expenditure of 110,946,584,530. and capital expenditure of 121,928,781,417, making a grand total of 232,875,365,947. This is the proposed 2020 FCT budget. However, in our recommendation, based on what I have already expatiated, in view of the aforementioned, the committees recommended the sum of 278,355,365,947 naira only as FCT statutory budget for 2020. From the projected revenue of 278,355,365,947 naira, the sum of 55,878,241,095 naira only is for personnel cost, while 62,343,723,435 naira only is for overhead costs, while the sum of 160,133,401,417 naira is for capital projects for the service of the Federal Capital Territory Abuja for the financial year commencing 1st January and ending 31st December 2020. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, in considering this budget, time is of essence due to the exigency of the work as the two committees, actually three committees of the Senate, Senate Committee on FCT and the House Committees of FCT and House Committee on Area Councils have harmonized the differences. On behalf of the committee, I hereby present the recommendation for consideration and passage into law. I so submit.
Any comments?
Senator Philip Tenimo Aduda, FCT Senate. Mr. President, let me first congratulate the entire National Assembly for this show of patriotism and ensuring that the FCT appropriation bill is about to be passed into law. Mr. President, this is keen into your vision for us to have a budget cycle of January to December, and as the Speaker of the State House of Assembly for the FCT, I want to say that you have done very well and we have all done very well. Mr. President, having said that, the budget for the FCT Statutory Appropriation Act 2019 was passed in June, and I want to say, Mr. President, if this budget was passed in June and today we have a performance of the 2019 budget as at 50-something%, I believe that they have done very well, and I believe that with the January to December budget cycle, the increase that have been done by the committee, I think it's not really ambitious because it will be achieved if within 5 months they were able to perform about 50-something%. So, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I've looked at the spread, and I think that the spread, the increase on infrastructural development, especially the satellite towns, because we need to really decongest the city center so that people can begin to own plots and even live in the satellite towns and come to work in the city center. Mr. President, I've also looked at the increase on health and engineering infrastructure. Mr. President, with these few remarks, I'd like to congratulate all of us and thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Kyari Abubakar. I represent Ondo Central. I rise, Mr. President, to commend the Committee on FCT for the bold step they've taken to put the FCT IRRs into task. to ensure that revenue potentials of FCT is achieved for the present year budget. I also want to commend them because there are potentials in FCT. Like I said, during the appropriation, when we were debating 2020 appropriation of, has the potential of achieving even the budget more than what it more than even 278 billion proposed to provide security architectures in the FCT. So I want to commend you, sir. I want to commend even the House too for being on the same page. And we also want to charge the FCT IRS that they should produce in the final analysis, when the actual is achieved, this budget should be able to be achieved 110%. If they are able to go on to ensure that revenue leakages are blocked and they are also deployed to provide infrastructure for FCT. Because all of us are residents of FCT and we believe that the security increase in security provision to provide the security for FCT is also highly commended, because this is the center of Nigeria. Anybody coming here must feel safe any time, any day. And again, the Senate of Ninth Assembly also charged the FCT IRS chairman that this 278 is too small and they should make it 300 billion. I so submit.
Mr. President, I want to commend the Committee on FCT and also the Minister, because if we compare this, what has happened at the level of the national budget, this is where you've seen that the expenditure on capital is far above that of the current expenditure. I think it's something that we must and have to commend the Minister of FCT and the committee for sustaining and making sure that for the first time we have a budget that clearly spelled out higher capital expenditure as against recurrent expenditure. Having said that, Mr. President, I also want to say that the Committee on FCT should be very critical in monitoring the expenditure on the capital. Because if we move around FCT, within the town, the central town, not at the marginals, you still have areas within the town where there is no infrastructure, whether it is street or even the other utilities. And these are, if you go to tackle, there are places where you don't have those utilities, roads, water, and even light. And so if they have this high capital expenditure, I think they should and must ensure that it is prudently spent on expenditure. Having said that, Mr. President, again, if we go to places like Karuanyanya, the last speaker alluded to the issues of enhanced security in FCT. Mr. President, those areas are where you have a lot of insecurity. On a daily basis, there are killings in those areas. And we seem to have concentrated more within FCT. If we do not attend to the security at the marginals of FCT, eventually those people would have finished with every person there and they will start closing in at the center of the Federal Capital Territory. And so we want to encourage the oversight function of the Committee on FCT to make sure that the issues of infrastructure within the central areas where there are no infrastructure, and then the issue of security at the marginals of the capital is well attended to. Otherwise, I think I want to support the minority whip that this House, this Senate should resolve into a committee of the whole in order to pass this budget. I so submit, Mr. President.
I am Senator Baroje Brian Kano North. Mr. President, mine is to commend the committee for having done a wonderful job, despite the short period available to it. Something to commend about again is the fact that they've been able to harmonize their positions. The Senate committee and the two House committees, they've done a wonderful job, and they need to be commended. I think what we need to do is just to move ahead and immediately approve the report and get the bill passed. so that they can also key in, FCT can key in into the January to December budget cycle. It's a welcome development. Congratulations, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you.
Leader of the Senate. Colleagues, the Senate and the Committee of Supply considered the report of the Committee on Federal Capital Territory (FCT) on the 2020 Appropriation Bill 2019 and approved as follows. Schedule as recommended. Schedule Part A as recommended. Schedule Part B as recommended. Clauses 1 to 7 as recommended. The short title as recommended. Long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Leader.
Now read a third time as so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the bill be now read the third time say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have. Clerk of the Senate.
Account, the total sum of 278,355,365,947 naira only, of which the sum of 55,878,241,075 naira raised.
A bill for an act to authorize the issue from the Federal Capital Territory Administration Statutory Revenue Fund or the Federal Capital Territory Administration account, the total sum of 278,355,365,947 naira only, of which the sum of 55,878,241,095 naira only is for personnel costs, and the sum of 62,343,723,435 naira only is for overhead costs, while the balance of 160,133,401,417 naira only is for capital projects for the service of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, for the financial year commencing from 1st January and ending on 31st December 2020. Third reading taken and passed. Distinguished colleagues, let me thank the Senate Committee on FCT, like our previous speakers did. The committee, like it is the character of this Senate, worked day and night to get this report put together. This report, like we know, should have been taken yesterday, but because of the sad event of the death of our colleague, we couldn't take it yesterday. For the Senate to reconvene today, Friday, which is not a sitting day, by our standing orders, shows the commitment, dedication, the capacity of the Senate to stand to deal with any matter that is of national significance and national interest. So I want to congratulate the entire Senate and indeed the National Assembly, because the House of Reps is also supposed to be doing the same. This is to show that we are interested very, very much in any issue that will make life better for Nigerians. As the State Assembly of the FCT, we have discharged our responsibility. The next thing is for FCT to ensure that it implements the budget. So I will, on behalf of all of us, urge the FCT committee to be steadfast to ensure that what we have passed here is what is implemented. We will work together with the executive arm of government to ensure that we get those revenues that are supposed to fund the budget that we have passed. So I believe that in this regard, we will not allow the FCT administration not to do what is expected of it. We must ensure that this FCT is reclaimed, because there are so many things that are not going right. We need to ensure that this FCT is safe, that residents and visitors alike come in here, do their businesses safely in a very secured environment. This is supposed to be the most secured city in Nigeria because this is the seat of government. And if we are not able to provide that security that is befitting of the status of the FCT, the story outside of Nigeria will not be good for Nigeria. So I believe that we have done our job, and what is left is for FCT to take up its responsibility and for our committee on FCT to ensure that this budget is implemented. But let me also commend the FCT minister and his team for ensuring that this budget proposal in the first place was put together and was brought to the National Assembly. In the previous years, maybe it will be June or July before this kind of budget estimates will come. But I think both the legislature in the 9th Assembly and the executive are in the mood to change the way things were. And I believe that Nigerians will continue to support all of us here for doing what we are doing, and of course show understanding like they have always done, and continue to also suggest ways that we can achieve better outcomes. Finally, on a very general note, let me thank my distinguished colleagues. Since we took our oath of office here on the 11th of June, it has been work. And it has been unity, focus, and understanding between and amongst us individually, and of course, even as political party adherents. I believe that we have done so well in the last 6 months. I had a press engagement last week, and I tried to inform Nigerians what we have been able to do in the last 6 months. We couldn't have done all those things without the unity that we found amongst ourselves. We are human beings. We will have our own weaknesses, but we have shown and demonstrated clearly that we can accommodate each other, we can accommodate ourselves with whatever inadequacies we may find in or among ourselves. But one thing stands out clear, that this 9th Senate is prepared to change Nigeria for the better. For passing the budget 2020 before the end of December, and for the President to sign the budget 2020 before the end of December, and for the budget 2020 to start taking effect from 1st January, definitely the Nigerian economy will see significant changes, because the inflow or the disbursements of funds by government will be an injection of some resources into the economy. That was something that was not available previously. We believe that the executive has a role here to ensure that the budget 2020 is implemented fully, as much as our resources can accommodate. But we also have a responsibility to ensure that we continue to evaluate the revenues or revenue generating agencies, ensure that the revenues come in, and every available provision in the budget should be treated equally, because this document is a law. And oversight, yes, it is probably the most important thing that we have to do to ensure the budget 2020 is implemented for the benefit of Nigerians. So we will take a special way of dealing with oversight. We are going to oversight fully. All our committees will carry out their oversight fully on the executive arm of government. We believe that this is not trying to make someone uncomfortable. This is the best way to go to ensure that there is the implementation of those laudable and noble projects that will make life better for Nigerians. So we should be prepared when we come back. But also when we come back, by the grace of God, we are going to face some of the very serious legislations that are required in Nigeria. First, the PIB. The Petroleum Industry Bill has defied solution. Since 2007, when the executive brought in the petrol industry bill and it couldn't pass. In 2011, the executive brought it again, it couldn't pass. In 2015, the legislature took it up in a solo fashion, it couldn't pass. Now, we have to act differently. The executive and the legislature will work very closely on this and come up with a legislation on the PIB that will be in the interest of Nigeria, but also protect the investments that are here and even encourage more investment to come in. So we are going to deal with that. We are also going to look into the issue of constitution amendment. There are so many issues that today require the attention of the legislature, the National Assembly, particularly in the amendment of the constitution to make governance better. But we also have to do a lot on the electoral reform. Every election gives us an opportunity to see the strengths and weaknesses of our laws, the electoral laws. There are so many lessons that we have learned from the general elections of 2019, but also the standalone elections in Kogi, Belsa, and other places. So this is also going to engage, we are going to engage in that, and I believe that we have learned a lot of lessons from the previous exercises. It is also of interest that Nigerians who feel strongly about any issue should come to the National Assembly instead of staying somewhere to complain. Because the National Assembly is here and is available for people to come with their bills, and of course, if they have suggestions or ideas on how to make the electoral process better and sanitized. Finally, I want to once again, on behalf of the leadership of the Senate, thank all our distinguished colleagues here for giving us the kind of support that was needed. Nothing could have been achieved here without the support of distinguished senators. Nothing. No matter how lofty an idea is, until everybody willingly buys in. And we have gotten a buy-in of all of our colleagues, and we are doing this